Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fallen London. Today we're going to be looking at October's exceptional story, Fading to Coda. And as it's the start of a new story, I'm going to do the little thing telling people that if you want us to help support Failbetter becoming an exceptional friend, you'll have access to these stories, you'll get twice the action points, and you will get a bigger opportunity deck. But let's go. Boiler smoke and intriguers. The docks are crowded with boisterous sailors and the air is more boiler smoke than Z-mist. Just ahead of you, a trio of amateur intriguers clumsily follow a mark. The trio are too well dressed for the usual dockside antics, and their target is implausibly bulky around the shoulders. Something is afoot here. Let's take a second look. Your luncheon can wait. The trio are held up for a moment by a convoy of hand carts pushed by half-drunk dockers. One of the amateur intriguers meets your eyes for a moment. Her hands flick into a signal gesture to the others, and the trio are gone. But their target, you know, that, thing. The trio were following the boneless pianist, a rubbery musician of your acquaintance. He raises one of his four hands to flap his face amiably as you approach. The boneless pianist is usually found in the company of the Growling Radical, singer and now elderly revolutionary. Has he dared to return? So how do we know the glowing radical? The Growling Radical has a mixed reputation even among bohemians. He has been absent from the city for some time. How do you know the fellow? So we can either know him for his music, perhaps your tastes run to growled music hall numbers with anarchistic undertones. The music is memorable in any case. Or he was a brother in revolution, a warrior poet of the people, a mad-eyed bar-stool finger-waver, neither, both. And we have access to that because of my renown with the revolutionaries. Or you knew him before the fall. It's been half a lifetime, but you remember a place that wasn't yet spite, and the daylight knifing through the fog. Or we have written for him. You've written lyrics for the Growling Radical songs. What is the most interesting thing here? Although I have renown with the revolutionaries, I'm not exactly on their side. I think they're a little bit too far in one direction. So let's just go with we know his music. I do like music, so let's try that. Your memories of the Growling Radical's performances are vivid, if not fresh. Stopping halfway through Know-Nothing George to spit proletarian bile at his amused lordship, drunkenly falling off enough stages that half the crowd thought it was part of the show. That one booking at Mahogany Hall that not even cats will talk about. Still, the Growing Radical has always amusing company. He must be getting on in years, though. Is he still performing? There's only one place to find out. The place in the city most suited to his eccentricities. Vale Garden. So, let's travel to Vale Garden. Luckily, it's the one right in the middle. So let's meet the Growling Radical. It's not Mahogany Hall. It's not even the Singing Mandrake. This sticky, floored taproom was a honey den last week, and a review hall before that. Tonight, the Growling Revolutionary sings to a dozen bohemians, a pair of revolutionaries, and you. But we are fashionably late to the show. More tables are empty than full. You get a bottle in and take in the tail portion of the performance. God, but he's aged since you saw him last. His voice is the same, though, like a sack of coal thrown from a rookery. Was he smoking shag before he could walk? He rumbles and snarls through brass and winks at you. There's more of this set to go, but the Radical just walks off the low stage and joins you. The Bohemians are delighted. This kind of heedless tomfoolery is what his few admirers came out for. The Radical doesn't sit down. So you're still around. Good. Been up to mischief? The Growling Radical claps your shoulder. One more show tonight. I'm trying out a new song at a place down the road. Come on, please. You, the Radical, and the boneless pianist step into the street. The Radical walks with a cane now and peers about nervously as you move through the boisterous Vale Garden crowd. Why are you nervous? Somebody must be trying to find him. The Radical has never lacked for enemies, but surely Vale Garden is a haven for his sort. The Radical pauses before the cracked door of the barely lit pub that is to be his second venue. The masters, bless them, have forgotten me, but there's a gang of fools trying to silence me, get me thrown away and forgotten as if that wasn't going to happen anyway. I just need time, a bit more time. I'll say more after the show. The pub is oppressively small, and you are a quarter of the Radical's audience as he starts singing. The song is fiercely sung, a protest against loss and regret. The Radical roars and cries, and the tiny audience forget their pints and their troubles for a moment. When the Radical finishes, the publican hands him a bottle of cheap mushroom wine. It seems this was the payment for a performance that would have taken the roof off Mahogany Hall. The Growling Radical hunches over his glass and beckons you closer. Look, you know your way around Vale Garden, right? I've got a plan. I need to put a show nobody will ever forget. I don't have many friends left in London and I need this. Can you help me put it on? You can keep the take, I won't be needing it. We have two options. Well, why not? Perhaps it's the love of art or friendship or the takings. Whichever has moved you, you are in this venture. Cheers. Or not just yet. A music revolutionary well past his prime and long since banned from the decent venues of the city. You'll have to think about it. But no, well, why not? For the arts, of course. After you toast your insipid musical venture with very cheap wine, the Growling Radical grows restless. He calls over the boneless pianist and insists the three of you take the damp air together to discuss plans. He walks slowly, cane clacking on the damp cobbles. So, they threw me out of the city, right? You remember the incident on the Empress's birthday? Well, I've been travelling ever since. Touring, even. It's done, though. I'm done. I've got one more good show left in me. Can you cover the practicals? I need to sort myself out one last time. So the Growing Radical has asked you to assemble a musical performance in Vale Garden. The Growling Radical wants you to put on one last show. You've agreed to deal with the practicalities. Vale Garden rises late, so you set to work as distant factory bells announce the hour for lunch. Before you can arrange anything else, you'll need a venue. So we get to scout a venue. We've got to raise our fading to a Coda quality to proceed with the story. The Growling Radical is an unusual singer and will require an unusual location. The manager of the Antimacassar Theatre has two burly clay ushers hurl you outside to the cobbles. The landlord of the Singing Mandrake reaches under the bar top and flicks off a safety catch as you approach. A reputation not your own has preceded you. Where else is available? You turn up two places. A semi-derelict shop front that the honey-mazed would spurn, and a cellar below a government building. There's a lot of paper ash on the floor in the latter, and the letters MPD stenciled on the furniture. But it'll do. You have to assure the functionary 3 times that you won't do anything indecent. MPD? Ministry of Public Decency? Oh, I assume that's what MPD is. So let's arrange for backing musicians. The Growling Radical envisages an ensemble rather than a single 4-handed accompanist. Oh, the poor rubbery man. He's being outdone. The freelance musicians of Vale Garden bargain as hard as any Gionese mercenary. Payment in full, in advance, no more than 12 to a dressing room, ample supplies of wine, honey and rubbery lumps, absolutely no glass instruments. Their demands are endless, but they'll be there. No glass instruments? What is the story behind that? Now we get to court the critics. The Growling Radical is a stranger to positive reviews, but sending word to Doubt Street might fill a few seats. You send carefully worded invitations to a few of the more volatile critics. Pointed lack of complimentary tickets, a few doubt about whether the critics will really understand the performance. Most don't fall for it, but you inspire a satisfying number of column itches, decreeing both yourself and the Growling Radical as artistic frauds and threats to the Empire. He'll be pleased. Threat to the Empire, wonderful. What type of audience are we going to draw? We can court the proletarian crowd, encourage an audience of common folk to come out for your show, or we can encourage a wealthy audience. Your venue is small, so a more select group of the wealthy might be preferable. Now, I feel the proletarians would like the show more, but I'm gonna go with wealthy. Because money. You won't fill even your small revenue with the wealthy admirers of the Growling Radical. Still, you hike up the prices for the front few rows and add the words "daringly bohemian" to your publicity. Perhaps the whims of the fashionable will swing your way. That's what I'm hoping for. Rich people love edgy stuff. So we have to reach more people. Give out handbills. The Growling Radical isn't well known, but he has a following of sorts. Distributing a few handbills in bohemian haunts should help. This Thursday next, at the Ministry Cellar, a most rare entertainment. The noted baritone bass returns from his tour of the tomb colonies, Press Bright, and Hell itself. The Growling Radical is a noted baritone bass. You're a snuffer, but you can't be too honest in these diminished days. Okay, so now we have to hire urchins and bakers. What are these for? Half of your intended audience is too drunk or uneducated to read, so you must rely on shouted announcements. The smaller urchins are cheap, but easily distracted. You instruct the larger urchins regarding the rate at which humbugs are to be handed out. 2 an hour is traditionally optimal. You time the campaign so that by the time the urchins finally forget what they're supposed to be shouting about, the barkers take over. The barkers of Vale Garden take to their trade, sturdy men and women with hairy knuckles and larynxes of vulcanized rubber. They can shout a cat off a pillar at 20 yards. So now it's time to focus on the stage and the space. What should be the backdrop for the performance? So we can ignore set dressing? Your venue will speak for itself. The Radical style suits bare walls, or we can create an opulent set, or at least as opulent as can be managed with what you have to hand. Oh, let's go opulence. Some dust sheets will pass for curtains in the dim light. You have 2 large, if dead, potted aspidistra, and most of the bust of the Duke of Marlborough. It is perhaps exotic and colonial. Considering the state of most of the colonies, it definitely is. There's just one last thing to do now. That is, find someone who'll wake the audience up, but not steal the Growling Radical's moment. Book a warm-up act. The modern audience likes a little variety. Best find someone who isn't a musician. The Follies Faber are out of town, and the venue is too large for them anyway. The ventriloquist with the raven puppet isn't fooling anyone. A paster is too expensive. Aha! The pair of velocipede-riding weasel jugglers are available. Any stage would be too small for them. They should really perform outside. However, that can only make the evening more memorable. I would pay to see that. Preparations for the show are in hand, and the takings from early ticket sales are promising. The Growling Radical paces upon the wine-sticky floorboards of your temporary headquarters. His shaking hands struggle to fill his pipe. We ain't there yet. I need a new song. Something to carry what we're doing. Something real. Something a true face. Give us a hand, would you? Oh, what does he need? The Growling Radical's extant work could fill volumes. Why is he so firm on the point of a new song now? The Growling Radical sits down heavily. Look, mate, have you ever been to the tomb colonies? He doesn't meet your eye. They didn't want to let me come back to London. Came at me with bandages. Well, bugger to the lot of them. I'm not damn well done yet. I've got one show left, and it's going to damn well count for something. Such language, even here. So we can agree to write the song. Is showing a true face really your métier? No matter, you'll manage. Early sales of tickets for the show have been brisk. Not bad at all for a small venue. Your preparations are having the correct effect. The most avant-garde and iconoclast of the Bohemian set will be coming. Now, to the calm and seclusion of your lodgings and your desk, you have truth to write. But I think I'm going to end the first episode here. So thank you very much for watching. We will pick up writing this song in the next episode. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. And as always, I'll see you next time.